KICI-LP 105.3 FM is Iowa City's nonprofit local radio station. We rely on listener support, and you can help us continue to air great programming like Democracy Now!, Great Taste, Green Room IC, The Situation Room, and This Way Out by making a one-time donation or setting up a recurring donation at our website, KICIRadio.org. Just click on the donate button and become part of the team. KICI-LP. Low power, high impact.
Coming up on the Green Room IC, Beverly Mead talks to people from Combined Efforts and Iowa City Community Theaters about the Beggars musical. Joining Bev were Pam Cantrell, Derek Johnson, and Shay Lilienthal. This interview was recorded using Zoom on October 8th, 2022.
My theatrical experience starts in 6th grade when I was cast as Santa Claus in the school Christmas play.
I think this cast has been, I would say, probably one of the most flexible and adaptable casts that I have ever gotten the privilege to work with. In the future, when ICCT has found their home, we really got to push to make sure that ICCT is able to have Combined Efforts back. That building meant a lot to a lot of people, and it me as well. So it's very sad to see it go, but I'm also excited at the prospect of an opportunity to make a space that's even better.
Listeners, welcome to another episode of the Green Room IC. Today, my guests are Shay Lilienthal, director, Derek Johnson, who portrays Mr. Poorly, and Pam Cantrell, who portrays Mrs. Poorly, representing Combined Efforts in Iowa City Community Theater's upcoming production of A Beggar's Musical. Welcome. It's great to have you all here.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yep. My pleasure. Now, our audience members always like to know who's behind the mic. Could you each please tell our listeners a little bit about yourselves, like your background in theater, where you come from, how long you've been involved with Combined Efforts specifically, things like that. Shay, let's start with you.
Okay, hi there. My name is Shay Lilienthal. I hail from Des Moines, but I have been an Iowa City transplant for about 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
This is actually my first experience with Combined Efforts Theater as not an audience member. I've seen a couple of shows. I've been lucky enough to see a couple of their choral pieces, but this is the first time that I have ever gotten to work with them.
Well, I'm sure they're as happy as we are to have you here. Derek, how about you?
Well, my theatrical experience starts in 6th grade when I was cast as Santa Claus in the school Christmas play.
That was about 6 years ago, right?
12. Actually.
Oh, 12 years ago. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I'm in my early 20s as far as anyone knows.
Okay, there you go.
And that immediately that immediately taught me that standing up on a stage and having everybody paying attention to me was what I really liked.
Of course.
And so that's pretty much the whole story. It's just
Excellent.
Been a desperate search for attention since then.
All right. And how long have you been with Combined Efforts?
I've been with Combined Efforts since 2013. I was not in the first live show, the now legendary Summer Love at the County Fair, but I was in the second show.
Okay.
And I've been in at least one a year since then. I do things with other companies sometimes. So there've been a few CE shows since then that I haven't been in, but.
Great. So are you an Iowa City native, or do you hail from somewhere else?
No, I hail from somewhere else, although I have lived in Iowa City longer than I lived where I grew up, which is Central California.
Ah, what brought you back to
the-
Iowa?
Yeah, well, I didn't realize you were supposed to be born in the Midwest and moved to California, and accidentally ended up doing it the other way. Yeah.
We will accept you as an Iowa native, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Pam,
Is there a
let us know
certificate
about
coming or something?
what was that?
Is there a certificate coming or something?
Well, we can make one up for you.
That'll be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll do that. We'll do that. Pam, how about you? We need to know about you.
Hello, yes, I'm Pam Cantrell, play Mrs. Poorly. This is my first experience in Iowa City Theater, period. I normally do Muscatine Community Theater and have for many years. Probably sixth grade was when I started, and I won't try and fib. I'm into my 50s, well into my 50s. So
you're just a baby compared to me, so go ahead.
So yeah, I've been doing theater since the sixth grade. I think the reason I started theater, well, I stumbled into it because a friend was going to go into theater, and once I got there, I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity to open up, make new friends, and that sort of thing. I'm kind of a little reserved. I won't say shy, but a little bit reserved naturally. And it's a great opportunity to kind of sprout some wings and meet new people and have a good time pretending to be someone else.
Exactly.
By the way, you won't hear any of that reserve if you come to the show.
Oh, I'm going to be there opening night.
There's nothing reserved about her, Pam's character, or the way she plays it.
Oh, excellent. Always nice to hear things like that. Well, that's great. Now, Combined Efforts is a little bit different from most theater companies in the area. Can you explain what makes Combined Efforts such a unique theater?
Other than me?
Other than you, yeah, because, we got to be really spectacular for you to be around.
Well, we are an arts company. We actually, besides the acting company, we have a dance troupe, a men's choir, and an instrumental music, a group, and a writers group.
Okay.
And so we're an all-around arts organization, and we're purposefully inclusive of persons with disabilities.
Very good. Very good. That's always nice.
That's the shortest answer. I have, of course, much longer answers. Just let me know.
Okay. If we need a longer answer, we'll come back to that question.
I'm the man to come to. Yeah.
That's very good. Now, this production appears to be a collaboration between two theater companies, Iowa City Community Theater and Combined Efforts. How did that all come about?
Well, for starters, ICCT is one of the best, if not the best, theater for ADA accessibility. It's all on one level. There's not really any stairs. There's a parking lot that's directly adjacent. There's no need to go up and down. So ICCT was really the ideal space for Combined Efforts, and they've done productions with them before in the barn. And when they received this grant, I was privileged enough to be on the ICCT board. So I kind of got to hear about this back in 2019, I believe it was. And they had asked ICCT, hey, can we use your space? We want to put on this show. We want to show not only what people with disabilities can do when given these opportunities, but we want to make a documentary about what it's like and the experiences of people with disabilities in doing theater, in having a space to do theater. And so this collaboration sort of came together really, really nicely and has really allowed for at least me as a director to know that I'm in a space that A, I'm familiar with, but that B, is pretty safe for our actors, and that that meant that it didn't matter, what people came to us with, whether they had a disability of sight, of hearing, of body, no matter what, we knew that we could craft a space that would be accessible and safe for them to be in while doing the show.
Shay, Iowa City Community Theater has recently announced that they are going to be losing their lovely building, the barn. So how are ICCT and combined efforts going to be able to collaborate together again in the future?
I think right now it's going to be a little difficult. ICCT losing their building is really rough, not only for them, but for theater companies like Combined Efforts that utilize those spaces, that have, the ability to put on their shows because ICCT is kind enough to work with them and provide a venue that's so ADA accessible. So I think in the future, when ICCT has found their home, we really got to push to make sure that ICCT is able to have Combined Efforts back. That building meant a lot to a lot of people, and it me as well. So it's very sad to see it go, but I'm also excited at the prospect of an opportunity to make a space that's even better and still as accessible as the old barn.
I know that from an ICCT perspective, especially, losing it at the end of this season is going to be doubly emotional because the last show of the season is Follies, which is a musical about losing a theater and having to close it down. So that's going to be really emotional for everybody.
I definitely think so.
Yeah, go ahead, Shay.
I think personally, I have memories of long nights and early mornings spent in this theater space and being acutely aware at how lucky I am to get to do this and to have this as my hobby and my passion. And it's, I'm definitely sure that on any given showing of the Follies, if I'm in the audience, I will be crying. I'm going to miss this space. I'm going to miss what it's done for us, what it's allowed us to do as a theater company, but also what it's allowed me to do and grow from as an actor, director, and all around theater human.
Yep. So if there's anybody out there listening to this program who knows of a space in which Iowa City Community Theater can move and grow and still be handicap accessible, oh yeah, we'd like it within the city limits, but we'll take whatever we could actually get.
It also needs to not be owned by another theater company.
Oh, exactly. Please get in touch with treasurer@iowacity.communitytheater.com. And theater is spelled with an R-E. We're pretentious that way. Yes, please, Derek, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, I just wanted to say something, not on behalf of ICCT or Combined Efforts, but simply as a resident taxpayer and voter in Iowa City. I'd like to say to the city, because it's my understanding that all of those old buildings are going to be torn down. Not just the barn, but that whole 2 rows of buildings there are going to be torn down and new buildings rebuilt. And I just think that for a city that is pretty ceaselessly praising itself for being the best small town for the arts, we've apparently got room out there for a model railroad. Surely there's enough room for a smallish theater. But that's just one man's opinion.
Of course, the section of land that we're talking about where ICCT is located is outside the city limits. So the city of Iowa City has nothing to do with it. It's the Johnson County Fair Board. However, again, as you said, best small city for the arts, perhaps the city could help Iowa City Community Theater find some place and obtain a place within the city limits. So for my 2 bits. Now, originally, as I understand it, originally this show is to have been produced in 2020. But of course, the COVID damdemic, and yes, I said that on purpose, the COVID damdemic blew everybody's skirts up, and it was not possible to do it. So I am sure both theater companies, and of course me as an interviewer, I'm very pleased that we've been able to pull it back into the season and get it up on stage. So Shay, can you give us a brief synopsis of what this musical is about?
Yeah. So the briefest synopsis that I can give is that this is a tale of poignancy. It is set in Victorian London, but you will find a lot of these themes ring true today.
Okay.
And it follows the Porley family and their adventures in what it is like being lower class Victorians in a world that is actively trying to push them out.
Oh, okay. It was based on a play by John Gay called The Beggar's Opera.
Yes, which was then based upon an opera by Bertolt Brecht called The Threepenny Opera.
Oh,
and
okay. Goes even
Brechtian theater, Brechtian theater by default was made to sort of put a lens up to the issues in society. And so audiences would come to a Brecht show and they wouldn't necessarily have, I would say, a moment of escapism like we would have if you had, a pop musical or something like that. It was more a way to hold the audience sort of accountable and physically having them see live issues that were all around them in society.
Mm-hmm.
And so through these adaptations, Janet Schlapkohl wrote our adaptation for us, and we have some original music by Michael Pienick, but she sort of kept that idea of holding a lens up to society of what issues are, but put it in a way that helps the audience have a level of detachment so they don't leave feeling like they've been personally attacked. They instead leave, hopefully, my goal is with the message in hand that these are still issues that happen today. We can and should do better.
Right.
And by getting a couple of steps away from Brecht, that we don't have to learn to pronounce words like Brechtian.
Yeah.
Yes. The hardest word I'm making anyone say is von Boulagege, which is the name of the villain. And that's hard enough.
Okay, yes, that is a tough one. Well, I was fortunate enough to have been in the cast of Threepenny Opera when ICCT did it several years ago. So that helps me get a little bit more familiar with the show. So that's great. Now, you said Janet Schlapkohl wrote the adaptation. She's the person, or at least one of the original people who originally started Combined Efforts and has written many of the shows the theater's produced since then. Isn't that right?
Yep, from what I understand, Janet is the go-to woman for the job, and her adaptation of this show, I really appreciate it because she left in the messages that were important, but she framed it in such a way that it makes it accessible to more than just one, I would say, type of person. You don't necessarily have to be a high intellectual who understands Brechtian theater and the idea of escapism versus, suspension of disbelief and all these, terms that, the average person coming in may know one or two, but you don't have to have a big background PhD in this to come and enjoy the show and understand what it's trying to tell you.
Exactly. Well,
Also, we do only original works or original adaptations, because we doing a in quotes real show, doing a published show costs money.
right.
You have to rent those scripts, and you have to pay a fee to the copyright holder, and we don't have that kind of funds.
Right. Well, Pam and Derek, and Pam, we'll start with you. Can you each give us an idea of who your characters are and how they fit into the production? Shay gave a little bit, but Pam, tell me about Mrs. Poorly.
Mrs. Poorly is mother to all of the little street urchins who help her and Mr. Poorly and her children by birth and her children by acquisition, to survive in this world where the poor get overlooked. And she finds a way to share their art form and acquire some goods in order to keep surviving. They beg, borrow, and steal. And she's really a force. She calls the shots, and people do what she says.
Excellent. I like that kind of woman. Derek, how do you handle being Mr. Poorly to that woman?
Well, Mr. Poorly is a useless dolt, so mission accomplished.
So she has to be that woman. All right.
Mrs. Poorly really is the brains of the outfit, because everybody else is either a child or me, and Mr. Poorly is just a doltish drunk who does what he's told when he has to, and drinks the rest of the time, and it's comic relief. The real message comes out through Mrs. Poorly and a couple of other characters. Mr. Poorly is really just a laugh now and then.
All right. So Shay, how many actors are in the show, and what's the age range of those characters, of those actors?
So we have about, oh gosh, I even looked at this before. I've got 5 kiddos ranging in ages from 7 to, gosh, I would say maybe like 12, I think is the oldest kiddo. And I've got, let's see, 3 associates, and Ernest. I think I've got about 16, 17 people total. All together. And I think it's a little extra if we include the dance team, because they are also townspeople in the show. So yeah, about 17-ish people.
It's a nice size cast.
It is. It's a nice size cast. It's not too huge, but it's not teeny tiny. I think this cast has been, I would say, probably one of the most flexible and adaptable casts that I have ever gotten the privilege to work with. There have been a lot of curveballs thrown along the way for various reasons, and every single time my actors just yes and okay, cool, and it's been excellent. And the kiddos just bring so much energy and joy. They make me laugh every night.
All right.
And it's been such a wonderful thing to have all of them.
Yay. Well, now you had mentioned Michael Penick as having written music. Now, did he write all the music so that's all original, or did some of the music come from elsewhere?
So some of the music came from elsewhere. There is 3 songs that are original by Michael. One is the song of Miserable Childhood, which is sung by our 2 oldest poorly children. There is the Ballad of Mr., which is our townspeople interlude. And then there is Miss Porley's song as well. That's an original piece.
Very good. Very good.
The rest is Janet Schlapkohl had written some lyrics out and had put it to the tune of things like the Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond or the Wearing of the Green.
Oh, okay.
And then she helped adapt Betty Sly, who's one of our characters, adapt her song as well. So it's not necessarily original, but it is an original adaptation.
Well, and that's where the originality comes from anyway. So who is your musical director and how many musicians are in the orchestra?
So our music director is a lovely woman named Jean Gruey.
She's also the orchestra.
She is the orchestra. She is our single pianist.
Okay.
So she is our pianist and our music director, and she is absolutely wonderful.
Very good.
Wonderful woman to work with. Brilliant mind, but also always down for a laugh.
Very good. Do you have a choreographer?
Me, myself, and Christina Sullivan, who is the head of the Combined Efforts dance team. So she has really choreographed the dance team acts. I got to help a little bit, but most of the interlude songs are, I would say, loosely choreographed by me. It's more blocking than actual choreography.
Thank you.
We've been really lucky to have the dance team because we've used them frequently when the script calls for a bunch of townspeople, and we've got them. They're right there. We don't have to get them ready to go. They're right there, and so yeah, we've done that. The last collaboration we did with ICCT was an original musical written by Janet Schlapkohl and Chris Okishi called Camo, and we needed a herd of deer, and so we just put the dance team in brown tights and gave them these cardboard cutout things that looked like the front of a deer with the face and the horns, and we had our herd of deer.
Okay. What about your costumer and who designed your set?
The answer is me for both of those.
For both of those, okay.
Yes. I am getting lots of help. I want to say that I say me because I took it on, but Jane Bradbury has been exponentially helpful in props. Jean, who is our music designer, our director, is also doing some costume things with me as well, and then the cast is bringing their own things, so it truly is a collaborative costuming effort. I'm just sort of heading it up as the person to tell them what to wear. For set, I designed that myself, but then Jim Mayfield has been our technical designer. He actually built the set, and then Dean, oh no, I forgot Dean's last name, oopsie, but Dean has been our painter as well, so he's made the set look pretty, and by pretty I mean poorly.
Okay. All right. Last few questions. What are the run dates, and where is the show being produced again?
The show is being produced out at the Iowa City Community Theater. Show dates run from October 21st to the 23rd and October 28th through the 30th. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sundays are matinees. Fridays and Saturdays are evening performances.
Okay, very good. You've already told us that it's handicap accessible. That's always important for people like me. How would you rate this show, if you need to, with regard to how appropriate it would be for younger viewers, say 13 and under?
I personally, we have kids younger than 13 in here. The subject material is not so, I would say, heavy or dark or suggestive. There's little bits here and there that are, little innuendos that I don't know would be inappropriate.
Yeah, okay.
No, wouldn't really be inappropriate for kiddos at all. And I think actually it would sort of inspire some kiddos if they saw other kids, around their age running around on stage having fun.
To help people who need to coordinate schedules, like babysitters, dinner, transportation to and from. About how long does the show run?
Right now, we're probably sitting at about an hour 45. There will be a
With
10
or
minute
without an intermission?
without an intermission. So with a
Okay.
10-minute intermission, we're probably pushing that more towards 2 hours. So a standard
Okay.
run for a musical.
Very good. Again, A Beggar's Musical is being produced by Combined Efforts and Iowa City Community Theater on Fridays and Saturdays, October 21, 22, 28, and 29 at 7:30 p.m. and on Sundays, October 23 and 30 at 2 p.m. at the Iowa City Community Theater facilities at the Johnson County 4-H Fairgrounds Exhibition Hall A. How would someone go about purchasing tickets for the show?
Tickets are online on ICCT's website. If they are Facebook able, there are links on Facebook to all of that, but then just the Iowa City Community Theater website will also have links to get tickets as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you all for being here today, Shay, Derek, and Pam. I've had a great deal of fun, and this has all been very interesting. Can we do this again sometime soon?
I would love
Absolutely.
to.
All right. Well, it's time to draw the curtain on this episode. Thanks for listening, and join us next time on the Green Room IC. Now, if you know of anybody or any organization who would like to have showcased on the Green Room IC, contact us. You can reach me directly by email at bev@KICI-radio.org.
The Green Room IC is an original production of KICI Radio in Iowa City. The host for this episode is Beverly Mead, with production by Craig Jarvie. Visit KICI's SoundCloud page to hear this and other Green Room IC interviews.